Hello and welcome to the Game Week 15 late mail, and it's coming to you on a Saturday morning. I don't know how well this is going to go because I don't normally do it on a Saturday morning, but last night I was putting together a very special video that took about 2.5 hours. Me and Nightmare were discussing AI, sheep morphology, analytics, everything to do with the game. That will be out on Tuesday, I believe, on his channel. So that's why I wasn't live yesterday. So that's why we are now going live today. We're going to see how it goes, see if people like the thing. Obviously, guys, I do have dedicated, if you're joining for the very first time watching the late mail, I do have dedicated question and answer sections, but this is pretty much a live show where I give you all the updates, all the stuff that I'm thinking about prior to the deadline stream, which is actually going to kick off in under 2 hours. So I'm going to try and whiz through most of this as quickly as possible. So everyone that's joining early, good morning. For me, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like the perfect time to be streaming. And I think let's not muck around. Let's get straight into it because there's stuff that we just need to get through. And there's just a lot to get through. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. So where are we? The same blokes, ironically, this is the exact same slide from Game Weeks 13 late mail. Haaland, in between Game Weeks 13 and 15, I triple captain Haaland, who absolutely stunk it up. I've had Amrin deploy Bruno Fernandes. The week I didn't captain him, he hauls. The 2 weeks either side of that, he blanks. Van Dijk, in between, 2 blanks and a 1 clean sheet. Arnie Slot and Amrin, probably the 2 worst managers in the Premier League at the moment, just not getting the business done at all. And I'm just frustrated. I'm frustrated with those particular players. It's just not an enjoyable scenario. But it is what it is. But that's it. So, yeah, those guys can just stay in the bin. I'm just going to leave it at that. We're going to talk about other people's issues in their own teams. I've got an exact segment. We've kept the FPL confessional in, even though Timu Jesus isn't with us. And we're going to carry on. So, on to the the fixture difficulty rating for 15 to 20. Now, this is the problem with the fixture difficulty rating. I was actually talking about this with Nightmare on our video yesterday. I said, based off what I've watched in the football, right, Liverpool, Man United, Brentford, Crystal Palace arguably have the best fixtures of anyone over the next 6 weeks. But I don't think that's very much in dispute. I think that's just a fact. The problem is Liverpool and Man United are not in good form. So what do good fixtures mean if the team is not actually in good form? And then obviously we look at Crystal Palace. They look buggered in literally the second half of almost every single game. Now, thankfully, their defense is really good, but their attack is problematic. Obviously, Sarr's gone down injured. Mateta looks absolutely buggered every time he plays. And that doesn't look good either. So we're sitting there wondering what the go is. So I'm not sure. Like, I look at this and go, yes, it makes a lot of sense. These are the fixtures I think are great. But the teams that are playing those fixtures quite often let the fixture down, if that makes sense. Like Man United, Everton at home, West Ham at home, I thought that would be 6 points. They've combined for 1 point from those 2 games. I mean, that just goes to show that sometimes, this year in particular, fixtures is just not paying attention and just rolling with players that are in form. I just don't know, but it feels a little frustrating more than anything else. But yeah, it is. It's just one of them things, unfortunately, and we just got to sit there and keep rolling with the punches. So this stream is obviously sponsored by Footium. They are launching season 14 is literally about to kick off. The first game is in 2 days' time. If you haven't already, just go and check them out. You can check them out for free. They obviously, you can, Dimitar Berbatov has literally just backed the company as well. So like, obviously it must be pretty good. I'm obviously hoping to get a Berbatov signed shirt out of it with a little bit of luck and hopefully get to play him in Footium. That'd be pretty sick because I'm going to sit there and trash talk him on Twitter. And then if I beat him, I'm like, Berber, send me a shirt, mate, or send me a signed pair of boots. That'd be nice. But yeah, you can go and check it out. You can play as a caretaker manager, which doesn't cost a thing. So you can actually try it out. But if you do want to buy a club, use that code there, help a brother out. And thanks to Footium, who have been sponsoring the channel all week long. So hot off the press, straight into it. No mucking around here. Sunderland, there's no new injury issues there. And they basically just talked about the confidence they gained from obviously playing Liverpool at Anfield and coming away with probably 2 points dropped because they realistically should have won the game. Sorry, I'm going to put them on so I can quickly read this. So Palmer returned, obviously we're off to Chelsea now. Palmer obviously returned for the final 30 minutes against Leeds. looked a bit rusty, to be fair. Caicedo is still obviously suspended. He's serving the second game of his 3-match ban, so he won't be available. There's no fresh injury issues, but then he talked about rotation and the fact that a lot of the players can't play every 3 days. So who knows what Maresca is going to put out against Bournemouth. There's probably going to be half the team's going to get rotated again, a bit like what happened at Leeds. And potentially that's essentially where we're going to go, and I think that probably makes a bit of sense. So on to West Ham. Nuno basically came out and said that Paqueta is going to be straight back into the starting 11 here. He's back from suspension after that stupid send-off. I mean, it was just the most bizarre send-off. I keep rethinking. I was like, he literally didn't make the foul. He argued, got a yellow card. He argued some more and got a second yellow card over something he didn't even do. He literally must have been betting on himself to get a red card. That's the only thing I can put it down to. But he's straight back into 11 apparently. And he's also hopeful that Somerville will be available for this game as well away at Brighton. On to Burnley. Twanzebe is out for a couple of weeks. He's got some sort of an issue. And then he basically talked about tired bodies, which makes you think that Newcastle, if you're after a 1-week punt this week, that is the team to target because they have Burnley at home. And if he's talking about tired bodies, they've got Knox. He's only praising Ed Carr. They've still got Ampaduni or whatever his name is. Roberts and Bay are still out. Then I think that is arguably the fixture you probably want to target. I think like that's the sure banker where you just expect the Newcastle whitewash and it should be good. The big news out of Leeds, the DCL unit after back-to-back goals, he's a doubt with a calf injury. Mtekia, I believe, is a hamstring doubt as well. James and Longstaff are still out there. On to Liverpool. Bradley is trained and should be available for this game, so I don't know what that means. But Gomez basically had a knock against West Ham. That's why he didn't complete the 90 in midweek. And potentially, he might be whatever. Then he talked about Salah and rotation there and whether he's going to start on the bench or whether he's going to start. Based on what Arnie Slot said, I would not be confident in a Salah start. He might actually end up benched for the 3rd game week in a row. So I'm not sure. I'm really not sure about that one. But I think, as I've said all season, just steer clear of Salah. It's just, if you've got Salah, just get rid of him. That's an easy transfer this week. Just spend it. Use your transfer, get rid of him. On to Brighton. Matoma has had a minor setback, folks. Yeah, I don't know who's playing on the left for them, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Ruta and Ayari could be available. In fact, in Ruta's case, he should be available. Yeah, Ayari, Herzl basically said that maybe he should be. Tomiskus, who obviously came in for Welbeck to start that midweek game, he's out for probably a couple of months with a knee injury, which does the chances of Welbeck starting all these games, provided he stays fit, a world of good, because that was his competition. His competition's now out. So you'd think that Welbeck is probably going to end up playing most games, and he looks like a really good transfer in this week, particularly with West Ham at home. So on to Crystal Palace. Sarr remains out and probably will not be seen before AFCON, so if you've still got him, just get rid of him. Use your transfer this week to get out. Sosa apparently could be the one back that's going to give them an extra body. He talked about the fixture congestion and the knocks and basically said that's why it's so important we keep a clean sheet. So we've seen Crystal Palace keep clean sheets. They've defended really well, but they haven't been scoring many goals. So maybe with the way that Glasner talked here, it actually makes sense to load up on the double Palace, maybe triple Palace defence, because they are keeping a lot of clean sheets. On the Wolves, he was very disappointed with the performance midweek. It wasn't a very glowing performance of Wolves in general, the way he talked about him, so that wasn't ideal. Yeah. Gomez ×2, they're going to be out. So Gomez, I think it's the one that plays in midfield, is out with suspension. The other one's out with injury. Krejci's on the glass. Montesi apparently is going to be missing with a calf. And yeah, I think that's also going to be something that needs to be monitored. On to Bournemouth. Cook and Adams are suspended. Yellow card and red card respectively. One's got 5 yellows and the other one obviously got sent off. Senesi and Brooks are going to be returning though from suspension, so they lose 2 to suspension, gain 2 back. Miller-Savage is struggling with a knee injury, and realistically Senesi is going to come back in and take his spot. On to Aston Villa. Emery said that Mings and Barkley are still going to be out for a while. Emi Martinez obviously missed the midweek game after being named in the starting lineup with a late issue. He's going to be given every single second in order to prove his fitness in preparation for Arsenal. Apparently he is progressing, but it's going to be a very late test. So if you've got Martinez in your team, hopefully you've got a playing goalkeeper. I mean, most people have Dubravka on the bench, so you should be sweet. On to Fulham. Muniz is obviously still out for the foreseeable future. Robinson has been in drills and he has been in some sort of training. But realistically, he's unsure of whether he's going to be returning before Christmas or not. And the rest of them are essentially okay. There's no news on whether Chumbawakazi or whatever his name is going to be starting after he obviously scored those 2 goals against City. But you'd have to think he's half a chance with that kind of form. On to Spurs, there's no new injury issues here. Basically, he talked about the fact that Romero started really hot and that Mickey van der Ven was able to get a rest and the replacement played pretty well. Solanke and Kulusevski, he said, he will update on them when they are close to a return, which basically means they're still not close to a return. Now, Dominic Solanke's ankle, he had an issue with it last year. He's got an issue with it again this year. There's obviously some sort of a long-term problem there, 100%. On to Nottingham Forest, Murillo, hamstring was apparently touch and go until he got ill, so that's why he missed out midweek, but apparently he could be okay for the weekend. I feel like he was very non-committal on that one. Morgan Gibbs-White should be fine, even though he's been nursing a few issues himself. Everyone else that wasn't in is still no good, and he talked a bit more about Chris Wood, and Chris Wood, they're taking what it sounds like quite a slow approach in relation to him recovering, if that makes sense. And then on to Man United. Now, Sir Harry Maguire is still out of the team. He's not going to be available, and so is Sheshko. And then he hoped that Dalot and De Ligt would be fit. So Dalot actually signalled to the bench he needed to come off against that West Ham game. So I just thought it was a tactical sub. It wasn't. It's that apparently Dalot wanted to actually come off. So he's off, but he's hoping they're both going to be fit. He then got asked about Mainu, why he's not starting, and basically said, well, I've got Bruno, and Bruno plays the position. It's clear to me that Amarin does not rate Maino at all, because I don't understand how he got to play with England at the Euros. Eric Ten Hag loved him. Amarin hates him. That's basically what it is. He then talked about Lacey and basically said Ahmad and Mbumo play on the same side. That's why he's not getting a game as well, even though he's been on the bench 3 of the last 4 game weeks or whatever. So Amarin clearly does not rate playing youth. He's out all about winning. The problem is, if he's all about winning, why aren't we winning? We've drawn or lost 4 of our last 5 games. The only one we've won was Crystal Palace when they literally collapsed in the second half. So I just don't buy what Amarin's selling on that one. So, yeah, as a Man United fan, I just think he's talking crap. In terms of Arsenal, Rice said he was fine, but then Arteta's talking about it, basically said that every hour is crucial and that we'll have to see. Now, obviously, Arsenal are in the early kickoff. We might hear something. I doubt we'll hear anything, if I'm being honest. Arteta runs a pretty tight ship there in terms of team leaks and stuff like this. But it's definitely something to monitor 100%. Now, Mosquera, apparently, that's more complicated. He needs a scan. So you'd think that Hincapié at the moment, particularly with Gabriel still no news on him, he looks like a really good buy, because he's going to be a cheaper way into the Arsenal defence. Until some of these guys come back, he should be sweet. Now, apparently in relation to Trossard and Saliba, it's literally a matter of days until they are good to go. So whether that means today or midweek, who knows? Because you never know with Arteta. He often talks a lot of nonsense. And then on to Man City. Rodri and Kovacic, they both remain out. He was asked about rotation essentially for O'Reilly and gave a very long-winded answer about Aït-Nouri and the fact that O'Reilly's not a grandpa and he could literally recovers very quick because he's young and he's youthful. He's not a Bernardo Silva who's got a kid. I was like, that's a pretty funny answer from Pep. What do I think? Do I think that O'Reilly starts? I've obviously got O'Reilly in my own team and I'm starting in my own team. I think, I don't understand. Like, people say Aït-Nouri needs minutes. Why would he need minutes? He's about to go away to AFCON. Why play a player that's about to leave who hasn't been playing when O'Reilly's been really attacking, looking really good, and one of the reasons why Man City is scoring a lot of goals? I don't get it. So I think O'Reilly starts. That's my gut feel. He's had enough days off. I think he'll be sweet. On to Newcastle, Visser played 30 minutes in an 11 versus an 11 midweek. Basically, he said that there'll be a decision on whether he's fit to help out this week. Now, if he's fit to help out, it's not going to be from the start. It's going to be off the bench. And realistically, it's probably going to be a max of 30 minutes, if that. Maybe 15, probably more logical. Then he talked about Tonali, who obviously came off in the first half. They sent him for a scan. There was nothing showing there, and they're going to give him every chance to be available for the Burnley game. On to Everton. Branthwaite, Raul, Koeman, all remain out. Irrigabum, he's got a 5th yellow card, so he's suspended. Gahey also serves the last match of his red card suspension in this game as well. There's also doubts about Keane. So Keane obviously missed the midweek game, and he is definitely a doubt for this game week as well. He may not make it. He may make it. We'll have to wait and see. In terms of Brentford, Thiago's in a really good place following his rest midweek, and basically there was a boatload of praise about how well Thiago, not only is he playing, but the fact that he's delivering, it just looks really good. Obviously, Nelson is back available because he was on loan from Arsenal. He couldn't play against his parent club, so he's back available for this trip to Spurs. Maybe he'll play and score a goal considering he's an Arsenal boy and they're playing Spurs. So buy, hold and sell. Lots of people are either considering buying, selling, holding, avoiding these three players. Now, I obviously bought Bruno Guimaraes in game week 14 myself. For the Tottenham game, ironically, he started on the bench and I was absolutely gutted, but then he came off and I felt much better about it, and obviously he got the goal. But I bought him really for this week as well against Burnley. I just think he's going to continuously tick over. He's having an amazing season for Newcastle. He seems to be playing further forward, and he's outperforming his XG. And I like players that outperform their XG because that generally means they're pretty decent finishers, and it looks like Bruno Guimaraes is. In terms of Cody Gakpo, I think that realistically, I would be just dodging him. I feel like I'd be dodging Gakpo. I don't think that he is... I'm just not convinced by the minutes. I know that Salah's about to leave, and maybe that means there's a consistent opening for Gakpo. But at some point, I expect Frimpong to come back in and maybe take that right-wing spot while Salah's not there. They've obviously got Ekitike, who really deserves to be getting minutes. And I don't know, there's something about Gakpo, like when he's on and he starts, he's really good, but then he has other games where he just looks rubbish. So I think the consistency is the key. I actually think that I can't believe this. I think I'd be more tempted by a Wirtz transfer than a Gakpo one, just based on the fact that I thought the Wirtz actually looked really good in the Sunderland game. I thought he was Liverpool's best player by a fair distance. So I don't mind the Wirtz transfer. The Gakpo, I don't know. In terms of Saka, I think what we're going to see is we will see him being managed throughout games. He'll start the odd game on the bench, but I still feel like he'll play every game. He'll play some part of every game, and if he does, he's always a chance to return. And that's the key, and I think that's realistically what you've got to be taking on board. You're not just buying Saka for you expecting him to start. It's a tough one. I'm obviously... with my 5 free transfers, my aim is to bring in Saka in game week 16. So obviously he's got Wolves at home next week. You'd think that's a really good week to captain him, and that's probably what I'll end up doing. But I just think that I don't know if he's worth the money. Like long term, I don't know if he's worth 10.1 million. It's a bit like Bruno Fernandes. I don't think he's worth 9 million either. And that brings us on to part 2. Bruno Fernandes. Now, I think if I hadn't captained him, I don't think I'd even be thinking about selling him. But like when I've captained him 3 times this season, and he's got 4 points to 4. One of the weeks he's lost out to Haaland. One of the weeks he's beaten Haaland. And the other week he drew. I just feel like the games I captained him, I expected him to deliver. And he's not been delivering. And then games where I don't expect really much out of him, he's been ticking along. He's a frustrating buy, a frustrating hold. And to be honest, if you post the Wolves game, you can make an argument that Man United's fixtures are no good until about game week 19. You could actually probably hop off them 16, 17, 18, and then buy him back 19, 20 and play the fixtures like that. We're giving 5 free transfers. Everyone has to make a transfer every single week, otherwise you're going to lose them. So I don't mind it. I think that potentially he could be on the selling or the chopping block next week. In terms of Everton, I've got Grealish and Tarkowski there. I am interested in both of them. I think the fixtures in particular for Everton from game week 19 onwards look really good. And Tarkowski's literally just ticking over. And they've actually surprised. Like some of their performances away from home have actually been really good defensive performances. And they've got Nottingham Forest this week that are struggling to score goals themselves. So they could be really good moves this week. And I don't mind them as well. Then we've got Dan Burn. Obviously, I sold him when he got red carded. But then since he's come back, he's got an assist in the last 2 game weeks. And I think the Newcastle keep a clean sheet against Burnley. And Dan Burn definitely, I think realistically, he might actually be the most nailed Newcastle defender. So if you're looking at a Newcastle defender, maybe it is Big Dan Burn. I know Nightmare's very tempted to go back there. I'm not sure if I'm tempted to go back there just yet, considering I've got Malik Jow. But in my agenda for next week is moving Malik Jow out until Newcastle play Burnley in game week 19, which ironically is probably when I'm now going to free hit as well. So are you feeling lucky this week? Which players are the best players to either start, get a big haul, or just completely avoid? And I think this week, the big fixtures obviously are Will O'Reilly start against Sunderland? That's a bit of pep roulette there. That is the biggest pep roulette, I think, this weekend. Then it's whether Brighton will smash West Ham, which I think realistically they will. And I feel like Van Heck and Welbeck could be really good punts this week. Obviously, Newcastle, I think, will batter Burnley. And I just don't know which assets are going to bang more. Is it going to be Bruno Guimaraes? Is it going to be Gordon? Is it going to be Barnes? Is it going to be Elanga? Is it going to be Hall? Is it going to be Voltamata? It could be any of them. Man United obviously have Wolves, Bruno and Cunha. I mean, will they actually do anything? There's a storyline about Cunha playing Wolves that does sound like quite a good idea, but I'm not convinced that he does that well. Then obviously we've got Liverpool. Ekitike, Gakpo, Salah, Wirtz, they all play Leeds. Are they going to start? Are they going to play more than 45 minutes? Are they going to return? Is DCL Unit going to crash the party? I mean, who are you punting on this week? Who are you punting on, and where do you think you're going to go? So my best one-week punts this week are Malik Jow at home to Burnley. Bruno Guimaraes at home to Burnley. I've gone with Cunha in the storyline against Wolves away. Now, before I'd read the press conferences, I thought that Dominic Calvert-Lewin could make it 3 goals in 3 against Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool, and I think that he still can. If he's up and available, the DCL unit is on a heater, and I'm going to back him in to score a couple of goals, and I think that he will be great, folks. And he's in form. He's in form. He's a great man. He's a great man in form. Why not go there? It looks like a delicious fixture. Liverpool have forgotten how to keep clean sheets. I could see the DCL unit going big. He could score a hat-trick against Virgil van Dijk. And the oralist Virgil, I mean, he's a poor man. He's actually an expensive Anderson, really. 1 point more than Anderson this season. Anderson, who I don't rate at all, 4.5 million. 1 point less than Virgil van Dijk that cost you 1.5 million more at 6 million. I know who I'd buy. And it's not Virgil, it'd be Anderson. So the best captains this week, and I've got it down to these 8. I still think that these 8 are the ones that we should be looking at for captaincy in game week 15. We've got Welbeck at home to West Ham. He's obviously got rested midweek. He should play the full 90 here. And West Ham are no good. Then we've got Voltamata, who is now 7.5. That obviously updated prior to me making this slide. He's got Burnley at home. You would expect Burnley to get battered, Newcastle to dominate, and it should be really good. Then we've got Haaland. And I feel like, at the moment, I've got Haaland captain. I've become a sheep overnight, and I've got Haaland captain. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I think it's a better captaincy for Foden. Because I feel like Sunderland's defence will be able to cope with Haaland more than they'll be able to cope with Phil Foden. Then we've got Brian Mbeumo. He obviously dropped in price, so he's actually 8.5. I do think that him and Bruno could be really good against Wolves. But having trusted Man United midfielders 2 of the last 3 weeks, I've got no world where I go there myself. But I can understand other people doing it. If there's a fixture where they're going to bang, it's probably Wolves away. Maybe they've got too much pressure at Old Trafford and they'll play better away. I don't know. Then the man in form, Phil Foden, who's now up to 8.4 million. He's gone from like under 5% ownership to almost 20% in a week. It's unbelievable. The masses are following the D Unit's lead. The D Unit banged on about him before anyone else did. And now everyone else is waking up to the fact that the D Unit has seen a heater and he's on track of the heater. And then we got Saka away at Aston Villa. He could be good, but realistically, I think he definitely starts. But Villa, I'm just not sure. I mean, they did concede 3 goals to Brighton, but I don't think they're going to be conceding that many goals to Arsenal. I mean, I could be wrong. Then you've got Daniel Munoz. This dude has got 14 pointers 2 of the last 3 weeks. And Fulham away is a fixture where you could easily see Daniel Munoz go bang, bang again and get you another massive haul. I actually think that he's a legitimate option this week if you wanted to take a risky punt. So my flop and star of the week, and we're going to get into the chat very shortly because I've got your confessional up next. I'd said earlier on, I bet you Malik Jow is my disappointment because I took the hit to bring him in because I thought they'd keep a clean sheet against Spurs. And when you concede 2 goals from 0.79 XGC, I'm disappointed. I am disappointed. That was obviously the fail of the week for me. He was definitely the flop. But the star, once more, was my golden boy, the golden goat pick, as Trig would call it. The Phil Foden punt has definitely paid off. 32 points since I bought him in. He was definitely worth the hit when I bought him in because he's well and truly repaid the faith. I sold Semenyo for Foden in the same time that Foden's racked up 32 points. Semenyo's racked up 6. So that is a difference of 26 points in that one move alone over 2 weeks. And that shows the power of jumping on at the time that players go bang. So FPL Confessional, what are your dud moves of the week? Who annoyed you last week? Get it in the chat. I'm going to start reading through the chat now, so get your comments in with what your 3 a.m. in Thailand. Very nice. That's dedication. I like that. Good morning, everyone that's just woken up in the UK. Good afternoon, anyone that's in this side of the world. Is this the Foden Cloud9 Club? I reckon it might be. A lot of people in this chat are probably Foden owners, and it wouldn't be surprising. Hopefully they did it 2 weeks ago when I did. Would I sell João Pedro for Voltamata? 100% I would, yes. Tim Bayer's difficulty rating, it gets updated using latest rolling data. Nice. Is starting Rice awesome? I'd start Rice. I just think Szoboszlai's crap. I'd sell Szoboszlai if I had him. Dallo plays FPL and wanted his clean sheet points. Yeah, he did. He knew. He was a clever man. He knew they concede. Good morning, Don't Panic. Good to see you in the chat, buddy. It's a couple more hours in front of New Zealand over there. 5 hours in front, I believe. Another Kiwi. What's up? Saka start. I think Saka starts against Wolves. I think Arsenal's Champions League game this week is not actually too bad. It could even be Jacob Murphy. It could be. He's a really good punt. I tried to give Roberto Murphy on the pubcast differentials. He wasn't having a bar of it, which was disappointing. I legit laugh every time I see Darius's face on DCL unit. This guy's great humour. I'm here for the humour. I will take the mickey out of myself when I have a mare, like I did yesterday in my team selection. I wore the clown outfit because I clowned up with Bruno captain. Should have gone with my boy Phil Foden. Darius Calvert-Lewin, love it. And Mbumo will punish the sellers. I hope so. That's what I'm hoping. And Mbumo going off to AFCON on a bang with some luck. 2 bangs. Play versus Bournemouth 2. Watch Foden blank now with the most transferred in curse. How's Pickford as a Pope replacement? I don't mind it. I think the fixtures coming up for Everton are actually quite nice. And Dyer Reinders will be benched, probably. Can I sell Mateta Thiago? Yes, 100%. 100%, I reckon you definitely can. So, yeah. I mean, my confessional this week is the fact that I was talked about it with Nightmare yesterday. I think my problem this week and last week was that I played the captaincy not on Foden even though I bought him in, and I really believed he was going to bang, because the first time I bought him in, I captained him 3 weeks in a row, saw him literally put up the same numbers, and he just missed everything. And I think I was scarred from that, and I didn't want to captain him because I was like, I'm going to look like a complete and utter clown if I get it wrong. Ironically, I go to Haaland, I go to Bruno, and I should have just gone to Foden. So that's my confessional this week. I think it's been poor by me. It's been very, very poor by me. So keep your questions coming in. I'm going to quickly answer them before we dive into the second part of the show. We're doing quite well. I think I'm on track to get this done within 1 hour. Give myself an hour break, and then we'll be back for the deadline stream at 9 o'clock UK time. Confessional, I had Van Heck and O'Reilly in my watch list. Van Heck was poised to come in for Gabriel, but Botman got flagged too, so I made the high upside move. Oh, dear. The difference in points there is crazy. That's mad. 18 points to 4 in 2 weeks. Oh, that hurts. Thiago and Haaland beat the curse, so it's a chance. Yes, also, Thiago definitely smashed the curse. Thiago just got the curse a week later. He did just start on the bench. Shaw go to Captain Raya now instead. Love it. Villa Park is tough. It is. That's why if I owned an Arsenal defender, I'd be benching him this week. Just because of the fact that I think that it is a difficult fixture for them in particular. All right, we'll just see if there's any more quick questions before we dive on into the next bit. But if there is none, we will continue on. All right. Memes of the week. Now, this is brilliant. Obviously, this is put together by my, in the WhatsApp chat. If you haven't already joined the WhatsApp chat, scroll up to the very, very start of the show and see the chat there. If you haven't already joined, it is a fast-moving chat, and it's good fun. So, obviously, we've got 2 weeks' worth of memes here, or 2 game weeks. So, the triple captain Haaland one was brilliant. Obviously, I've wasted it on Erling Haaland for the 2nd season in a row for a big, fat 2 massive points. And that's what it felt like. It felt like getting kicked in the dick. I think that's the best way of describing it. And then I felt like the Star Wars one was brilliant. I'm going to play my triple captain on Foden, right? No, not on Foden. And then, obviously, the Haaland captain, obviously, I became a sheep. And a bit like the pubcast crew, that every one by one, we're morphing into sheeps with a helmet on our heads, walking around blindly hoping for the best. Only adults allowed in the chat. You may be a jinx. I'll take a 0-0 Villa. Who was the photo of on the last side? That's of Timu Jesus. It is Timu Jesus. Then obviously you've got Emperor Palpatrig. He's been playing the game for a long time. Obviously he's been playing it for 20 odd years or whatever it is. He's obviously finished number 35 in the world once. But now he is delved into the realm of Solio analytics and he's become a scared manager, folks. And he's scared. It's like the Dark Emperor is losing his touch on the Force. And the Yodas, the Murats of the world at the D-Unit Dirty Bar are taking over the show. I don't think Murat's awake yet, but that one's for you, Murat. And then obviously Timu Jesus last week on the Late Mail Edition Live, he was forgiving people's sins and he will be back, folks, next weekend. Timu Jesus will be back live in this room with me. He's back in Kalgoorlie doing some work, so he's going to pop in to join and hopefully join us for a live watch along. Again, big shout out to Luke, who's put most of these together, and some of our members in the WhatsApp chat. If you take the piss out of me, I'm never one to sit there and say no, so let's do it. So the differential gurus, and guess what, folks? You're not going to believe it, but the D unit is leading the differential board after the first 3 weeks doing this. I'm now comfortably clear on 21 points ahead of Gary, ahead of Trig on 15 each, ahead of Kanji on 9, ahead of Nightmare on 8, and Roberto, how's he got 4 points in 3 weeks? Whatever Roberto picks, folks, don't go there because they don't perform. They don't perform. And if Ganacho had showed up the first week, I reckon I'd be about an extra 10 points clear. But I obviously picked Gordon on game week 14. He got 6 points. I just missed out on Kanji, who obviously picked Bruno Guimaraes before me because obviously I finished top with Foden the week before. But Bruno Guimaraes was the best differential from the pubcast last week. He's the star of the show. And congratulations to Kanji, who took out game week 14. So who have we gone with game week 15? Now, I gave Roberto Jacob Murphy. And then he said he wanted James. I'm going to let him have it because I don't think he realises that James is 8.4% ownership. When we put this together, it has to always be under 5%. So I've gone with Mason Mount. I think that he's been rested midweek. I think he's going to be great. 0.4% ownership. Man United play a lot better when Mason Mount's in the team, and I think he definitely comes back in. Anthony Gordon, I reckon, is an amazing shout. I wouldn't be very surprised if Kanji doesn't win again this week. I think Gordon is probably the pick of these 6. He got in on Gordon before me, which is why I obviously went with Mason Mount. Raul Jimenez, Gary View, looked at FPL Review and somehow threw up Raul Jimenez. Why? I don't know, because I think Crystal Palace will blank him, but that's what Gary's gone with. Trig's gone with Isaac. Don't know why, because obviously he's not watched Liverpool play very much because he's been too busy investigating Solio analytics. But outside of that, everyone that's watched Liverpool will tell you that Isaac has been poor, and realistically, he's probably not going to do much there. Mateus Cunha. Nightmare, I think, is believing in the narrative, and I understand the narrative, and I think that Cunha could be really good, but he's offered nothing. He's offered nothing, folks, and I don't think he's going to do much against Wolves away either. I think if anyone does do anything, it's probably going to be in Mbumo, and it's probably going to be Bruno and Mason Mount. And then Roberto, I'm going to give you James, mate, but I reckon he does nothing against Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth score. I wouldn't even be surprised if Semenyo scored a goal this week, folks. There you go. I've said it. Semenyo to score, James to blank. Roberto doesn't know what he's doing. So on to the mini league. And everyone, if you haven't already joined, the code is on the screen, M73WLE. I put together this every single week. And guess what? For the second time in 3 weeks, the A team has top scored. He got 108 points without using a chip in game week 14. Just let that sink in. He triple figured points. He had Phil Foden captain. He was unbelievable. He also won the no chip warrior with 108 points, no chip used here. And he's now up to 981 points after game week 14. And he's number 9 in the world, folks. The D Unit League has number 9 in the world. Can we have the number 1 ranked person over the next couple of weeks? Is it possible that the D Unit League has number 1? I reckon it is. This guy's team looks well set up for the next few weeks as well. So I reckon that he is going to be unbelievably good. So, yeah, look at his team. Go and check out the league because he's killing it. He is killing it. He's seeing it better than I'm seeing it. And I love his team. I think his team is differential. He's not afraid to take on Haaland captain. He's definitely not a sheep. And that's what it requires to win FPL. And I actually think this guy's got a legitimate chance of winning it. He's also got his triple captain to play. So he's got his triple captain to play between now and game week 19. I think he's on. I think he could be on. He's going to be leading or near the top for a big part of the season. Unfortunately, the lowest score this week was the slot machine, and that was Jonathan, 34 points. He wasn't helped by the fact that his moves, he took a minus 12 hit, and his moves overall gave him a default minus 25 points. The moves that he made just did not pay off this week at all. Unfortunately, Jonathan, someone has to win that award every week, and this time, unfortunately, sir, it is you. The bench disaster this week belongs to Dad's Army. 24 points left on the bench there. Bench boost not used. Unlucky David. I know them feels. Sharpest trader. Stuck farmer. The stuck farmer, Paul, made 2 moves plus 26 points. Unbelievable good moves. That is good moves. Then, as usual, the hit heroes. Prince Riley's 11, managed by Sandra there, plus 18 points with a minus 4 hit. So everyone that says there, every week it says hits are no good. Well, if you're getting plus 18 points with a minus 4, it's a good move. And then the one move king, we fear Nefo. I don't know what that means. I'm probably pronouncing that really wrong. That team is managed by Gary. He got plus 17 points. And that's the news. Obviously, game week 13, I just didn't have time to quickly whack up the game week 13 one, so I do apologise. Game week 13, the actual manager that won that, I'm going to quickly just tell you who that was and how many points they got. But it was, hold on, bear with us 1 second while I quickly look this up. So game week 13 was, couldn't you believe it? He had the top score in game week 13, and that was managed by Lachlan Charles. So well done to Lachlan. Game week 13, you had the most points. I think it was 83 points off the top of my head. He won the game week 13 award, so well done to you. If you're in the WhatsApp chat, let us know. We'll send you your digital trophy. Henry, get in touch, baby. If you're watching this and you're watching it back, please get in touch. I'd love to do a video with you on the channel, talking through your amazing season so far, and I think the viewers would love to see it as well. So on to my score predictions for game week 15, and this is what I've gone with. Anyone that's in the WhatsApp chat will know exactly what I'm predicting. I'm predicting a 0-0 ball fest between Aston Villa and Arsenal. Don't know why. I just don't think that either of those teams are going to score a lot of goals, and I think it could be very low scoring. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see if I'm wrong, but I'm going with 0-0. Bournemouth versus Chelsea. I think both teams score, and I think Chelsea again drop points, and I reckon Maresca will be to blame again. I'm going for a 1-1 draw there. In terms of Everton, Nottingham Forest, I think both teams, unluckily, will probably concede a goal. And for that reason, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I think that realistically, that's probably the most logical result. Man City, I think, will beat Sunderland. I think Sunderland will find out that playing 3 games in a week is quite tough. And I expect Man City with the extra day's rest to punish Sunderland. So I'm going a 3-0 win for Man City there. Newcastle versus Burnley, I can't see anything more than a 4-0 whitewash or something along those lines. I think Burnley are just going to get poleaxed, just based off what I read in the presses and just stuff like that. On to Spurs versus Brentford. I think Brentford will beat Spurs. I think they're in much better form generally, and I just don't rate the Spurs team at all. I know they scored twice against Newcastle, but they were pretty lucky goals, to be fair. And Romero just sort of, I don't know. I feel like Dan Burn was at fault for one of them. And I just think Brentford won't give them that kind of luxury, and I think they'll be fine. I'm also going for a couple of upsets here. I'm going for Leeds to beat Liverpool. I know that sounds ridiculous, but Leeds beat Chelsea pretty easily in the end, 3-1. And Liverpool are a much worse team than Chelsea at the moment. And they've literally won 1 game in ages, and that was against the West Ham team on Sunday who didn't show up. And Leeds will definitely show up at Ellen Road. So I think Leeds will beat Liverpool 2-1. Brighton, I think, account for West Ham quite easily. They'll make out the West Ham are rubbish. A bit like how Man United failed to do on Thursday night. I think Brighton will take care of them. They've also got an extra day's worth of rest, and I think they'll win that 3-0. Fulham versus Crystal Palace. I think the Crystal Palace keep yet another clean sheet and they win 1-0. I would not be surprised if that's a result. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but every time I pick Man United to do well, we do rubbish. And it's the reverse psychology thing, right? I'm going to go with a Wolves 1-0 win and hope that Man United make me look like an absolute idiot. But I legit, as someone in the chat just said, it would not surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if Man United lost this game. Like, that is the kind of form that we're in. We don't show up against the crap teams. The teams that don't win, we don't show up. Just look at West Ham, look at Everton at home, the last 2 home games. We go away at Liverpool, we show up. We play Chelsea, we show up. Even Arsenal, game week 1 of the season, we show up. We show up against Brentford? No, of course not. Brentford battered us. We go to Nottingham Forest, barely show up. We go to Spurs, barely show up. Teams that are rubbish, Man United do not show up. So it would not surprise me in the slightest that Wolves, and I hate to say this because it's my club, I would not be surprised if Wolves get their first win of the season on Monday night and it turns into a massive moan along on Monday night because I could just see it. I could just see Man United blanking again. So on to my hot takes for game week 15. My gut feel today is that Foden outscores Haaland. I'm just not sure if I've got the balls to go and captain Foden. I just don't know if I've got the balls, folks. I don't know. I feel like I'm a little scared. I feel like I'm a little scared. What's happened to me? But I reckon I'm also due some luck. I'm due some captaincy luck. I'm due... It's not like I'm picking dud players in dud fixtures. I'm picking good players in good fixtures. And at some point, it's got to come up with a 6. I also think there'll be a lot of tired teams this week, particularly today, and I reckon there will be a lot of goals. Especially in some of those one-sided games, I reckon there'll be a lot of goals. I also expect United and Liverpool to struggle this week. I'm not convinced either of them actually get a win. Aston Villa versus Arsenal, I think, will set the tone for the weekend. Will it be a boring start or will it be exciting? If it's exciting, expect a goal bonanza on the live watch along later today. Brentford and Palace, I reckon, will just show how bad Spurs and Fulham are with another away win for both of them, and Fulham and Spurs again with another home loss. That's what I think. Newcastle and Brighton, I think, will also destroy their opposition and record big wins and rack up the goals. And I think, here's a bold prediction, Phil Foden to go back-to-back player of the week. He obviously beat Haaland to being player of the week. He was the player of the week in game week 14. And I've got a sneaky suspicion, folks, he might go back-to-back players of the weeks in game week 15. I don't think it makes any difference if they're playing Real Madrid midweek. I reckon Phil Foden bangs. So what does my team look like then for game week 15? And this is what it looks like, folks. We've got Bart Simpson, Bart Brabaggen. I don't know which one's going to show up, but whoever it is, he's in goal. Hopefully he can deliver a clean sheet because I've not had much luck. I've had 1 clean sheet from my goalkeeper in 14 game weeks. That's how bad my goalkeepers have been. Then we've obviously got Munoz away at Fulham. He's been in incredible form. I think that looks pretty good. We've got Matic, Jow and Bruno Guimaraes against Burnley at home. That feels pretty nice. O'Reilly, Foden and Haaland. As you can see there, Haaland is captain, Foden is vice captain. Maybe that's a chance to change your own teams because obviously my captaincy luck has been poor. Then I'm playing Thiago over Rice, who is yellow flagged. And I just think that Rice is probably due some sort of a rest. So I wouldn't surprise me if he did start on the bench. So I'm going with Bruno Fernandes and Mbeumo against Wolves away. This might be their last time in the team for the considerable future. Then we've got Mateta away at Fulham. I am tempted by a hit on Mateta. I'm very tempted by a hit by taking out Mateta and bringing in Welbeck. But I look at it and also go, Palace are actually going to have an extra day of rest. So they played Tuesday. And obviously, Palace play on Sunday this week. So that's more rest than they're used to. So maybe Mateta might actually be fine this weekend. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. Then that leaves Van den Berg on the bench. Now, if O'Reilly doesn't start, ideally he just doesn't come on at all. And hopefully that is the case if that's what happens. Then Van den Berg will come on. Because I feel like Van den Berg's actually half a chance of a clean sheet against Spurs. So I feel like the bench cover here is looking pretty good. I don't mind. And again, that's why I changed my bench around so I don't have a Mark Guiui who I'd never want coming on. I've actually got players I'm quite comfortable coming off the bench with. So yeah, I think the team looks pretty good this week. I'm still unsold on the captaincy. We're going to get into the card calls in very shortly, but that's what it's looking like. And I think I'm pretty happy overall with where the team's at And we are on the right path. We're up to almost the top 4 million now, which means we're almost into the top 33% of teams. The team value is going in the right way. The majority of players I own, people are trying to buy, which should mean I start getting the points on the board and start racking up the rankings later on this season. So the card calls the game week 14. How did it get on? Well, the only call I would say I'm disappointed in is the Foden versus Bruno Fernandes one. I mean, the card has not been getting the captaincy call right in any week. For a long time, it feels like. It feels like every time I put my captain up there against another bloke in my team, the card is trolling me and getting it wrong. It picked Bruno Fernandes and it got it wrong biblically. 4 points to 17. I mean, Bruno could easily have scored in that game and it would have been a very good haul, but he didn't. And that's the difference. Bruno has been massively underperforming his XG this year. Foden has now realised that he's becoming a good finisher again. And I miss saying Woody the Woodpecker as well. But Bart Simpson's here, Barty McBart. So we've come up with a couple of new ones. And I've got a few more in the works, but I'm going to be buying players over the coming weeks as well. So hopefully we keep going. But yeah, that's how the card went in game week 14. Let's have a look at how the cards team is looking. So the card, ironically, has actually made 2 moves itself. It's taken a -4. FYI, the cards team's coming up. It's on a 4th green arrow in a row, 5.9 million it's up to. Obviously miles behind me still, but it's also going Haaland captain at the moment. Now, I know Leeds at home is wrong because I knew there was something wrong there. Voltemata's not away as well. I was literally I was in a rush to try and get this slide done before because I hadn't done it since game week 13 because obviously there was no late mail in game week 14. So there are a few issues here with Haaland and Voltemata and Thiago. They're obviously wrong fixtures. Everyone else should be correct. But the cards team actually looks pretty good if they play. I mean, it's got Voltemata. I've got Bruno G. He's got the card's got Burn. I've got Malik Jow. It's got double Palace defense. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good team. It's a pretty good team. But yeah, that's what it's gone with. It's gone Foden in for Semenyo, Mukiele in for Van de Ven. So the cards missed out on 32 points. Whereas I've gained 32 points the last few weeks. Yeah, I think the cards team, you never know. I mean, it's pot luck what it picks, so it is what it is. So, random card questions this week, and I've come up with a couple of beauties. Just going to quickly hit this so I don't accidentally hit a button and it goes off this screen. Let's move that out of the way. All right, so will Foden bang again this week? So remember, if it lands up that way, it's a yes. If it lands up that way, it is a no. Will Foden bang again in game week 15? Oh, the card reckons it won't. Are Man United and Liverpool just bad teams? Yes. Will England get whitewashed in the Ashes because it hasn't been going well for them so far? Apparently, yes. Will Bart Simpson or Verbruggen play in goal? Oh. Bart Simpson's playing in goal. Are analytics models holding back the Nick trigger? Yes, I said they were. Should the D unit take a hit for Welbeck? Apparently I should. Does Gary secretly identify as a sheep? Oh, apparently not. That's disappointing. Will Maresca cost Chelsea versus Bournemouth? Yes. Will Wolves beat Man United on Monday night? Yes. Even the card thinks Man United are going to lose. Unbelievable. The scenes. What is going on? I mean, yeah, that's the random questions. Let's see how many of the card get right out of that. Will Foden blank? That's the key question. So on to the card calls then for game week 15. If you want any calls yourself, we'll get into them very shortly. But 8, Nori versus O'Reilly. Remember, if it lands up that way, it's the person on the left. If it lands up that way, it's the person on the right. All right, it's going with O'Reilly. Burn versus Van Heck. Big damn Burn. Anthony Gordon versus Bruno Guimaraes. Bruno Guimaraes. DCL unit, who might not even start, versus Mo Salah, who might not even start. Oh, I can't believe it, the DCL unit. All right, whatever this one does here, Go the opposite, folks, because the card has notoriously got this one wrong for the last however many weeks. Phil Foden captain versus Haaland captain. Look, it says Foden's going to blank, and then it picks Foden on the captaincy. Of course it does. Jurrien Timber versus Munoz. Minte versus Welbeck. Minte. And Bruno Fernandes versus Mateus Cunha. And it's gone with Bruno Fernandes. So that's your card calls for game week 15. The big one there to avoid is the Foden captaincy, because the card's called a Foden captaincy. And ironically, whatever I do with captaincy, it's always the other one that bangs. So I feel like I could be sitting there. If I pick Haaland, Foden bangs. I feel like if I pick Foden, Haaland bangs. Whatever one I don't pick will bang. The one I pick will blank. I feel like that's the luck I've had with captaincy like the last 7 weeks. It's unbelievable just how it's not even like I'm picking bad players. I'm just getting zero luck. So on to your card calls this week. So if you've got any ones you want to ask before the deadline stream, whack them in now. And I'll happily do them. I'm interested. Let's see some good ones. I'm also going to start answering some questions as well. Also, who is FPL? Oh, FPL Olympian is Captain Foden. Holy hell, right. Everyone aboard. Get off the Foden. Can't take state like my phone will be player of the week and then not captain them. I know, that's true, very much. Yeah, I'll take that on board. O'Reilly will most likely be benched, probably. Could you do a free hit team? I did a free hit team earlier in the week, Aaron. I did a free hit team earlier in the week. Go and check it out. It's in my transfer tips video, which was out on Thursday. There's a free hit draft in there. It's the very last thing in the video from memory. Free hit draft is there. If you want to go and check that out. I can't remember what I did, and I can't just pull it up randomly on the screen at the moment. But I can go through one on the deadline stream. I'll happily do that there because I'll be in the app. But I haven't got that slide here. Small underdogs will sink. I miss him saying... All right, watch the bang come from Reinders instead. Lacroix versus Gahey. Nice. All right, we're going with Gahey. Gordon versus Welbeck. Anthony Gordon. Would you take a hit for Bruno G taking out Enzo F? Card says yes, it would take the hit for that. Voldemort versus Mateta. Strand Larson versus Xerxes. That's got to be Xerxes, surely. No, it's not. It's Strand Larson. Man United versus a clean sheet. Clean sheet. Jesus Christ. Like, share, subscribe, support your quality channels and continue to get brilliant content. Thank you very much, Diamond. Great to see you in the chat, buddy. Semenyo or Mateta? Semenyo. Bruno G or Kevin Schade? Kevin Schade, apparently. Interesting. Since the card is saying Wolves win, it is too late to triple down on Wolves' assets. Never too late. Never too late. I mean, if you're free hitting, you can pick whoever you want. I actively thought about free hitting this week as well and just doing something stupid, but I've decided against it because I felt like I haven't given enough time for myself to prepare. And I also looked in advance, and I feel like game week 19 looks really good for my squad to free hit, so I think that's what I'm going to do. I wasn't allowed into the Emirates Stadium. B's game. Have you ever been denied access to Stadium White? No, I haven't, Noah. I've only ever gone to Old Trafford. I've been to West Ham's stadium as well, but I went there in games that weren't versus Man United, and I went with my missus' family who are West Ham fans. Nazi Goring or Pad Thai for lunch? Pad Thai. I'm having a goalkeeper dilemma. Aaron Ramsdale or Verbruggen? Ramsdale. Morning, dudes. Morning, Thomas. Captain Haaland or Gordon? Haaland. Guns out or versus guns in? Guns out. Honestly, what do you think? Henderson in, Pope out? Don't mind it. I actually really like a Henderson move. Yeah, I feel like if you have to sell Pope, I do not mind a Henderson goalkeeper at all. Coffee or tea? Tea. Is your Mrs. English? Yeah, she's from Essex, just outside London. She was the reason why we moved here. Marmite or Vegemite? Vegemite. I'm not even going to flip the card for that. Marmite's crap. It's like Penguins versus Tim Tams. It's all got to be Tim Tams. Anderson captain. Yes. I wouldn't do it, though. I wouldn't do it. All right, we'll finish off with some questions. I'm going to finish up. We'll be back in an hour's time for the deadline stream. If you've got any more questions now, before I wrap this up, please get them in the chat and I'll answer them really quickly. Rice plays or Rice benched? Ooh, I like that one. Rice plays or Rice benched? Rice plays, apparently. Mateta versus Anderson. Anderson. Which Anderson? Cornflakes versus beer. That's got to be beer, surely. It is. It's going with the beer. Ahmad versus Rice. Ahmad. Slobbersley or Harlan captain? Harlan captain. Anderson versus Anderson captain. The second one. Fulham Anderson captain. Cunha or Gordon? Gordon. These ones are good. Lots of new people in the chat. Great to see so many people. By the way, thanks to everyone that subbed. Overnight we've hit 5K. So thank you very much. Whom to bring in, Welbeck or Gordon? I think it's got to be Welbeck, but let's have a look. Where'd it go? I've lost the card. No, it's gone with Gordon. And lastly, Guinness or Gurley Lager? Guinness. And last one, Donnarumma versus Dubravka. Donnarumma. All right, folks, I'm going to hold it there. The deadline stream will be up and about in 1 hour's time. I hope to see you there. I've managed to get that out. Hopefully you've enjoyed the late mail as the early morning show. Yeah, something a bit different. It will be back to a Friday next weekend. It's just I did not physically have the time or the energy to do it last night, and it would have been a poor performance on my part. So thank you very much for joining. If you haven't already, smash the sub button. And thank you to all that have subbed. You guys are why I do it. So it's not for any other reason. I'm not here to make money, just here to have fun and entertain. And hopefully you guys enjoy that. I'll see you all